Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Marie Kato. Following a meeting in Luxembourg on Monday, European Council ministers voted to introduce a complete ban on Russian gas imports from January 1st, 2028, despite opposition from Hungary and Slovakia. This is a part of the EU's REPowerEU roadmap to end dependency on Russian energy. To talk more about this, I am joined by Petras Katinas, energy analyst at the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
So, unsurprisingly, Hungary and Slovakia remain adamant to vote against the overwhelming majority, or are they simply getting their way for a bit longer?
Well, I would say that the EU Commission chose a very wise and very wise path, and it chose a qualified majority legal route rather than the usual unanimous sanctions procedure. This means that countries like Hungary and Slovakia cannot block the decision, although their concerns are considered. So I would say that, as usually, Hungary and Slovakia openly oppose the plan, and other countries mainly agreed. Only a few countries has some small adjustments, which is basically already addressed. So speaking specifically about Hungary and Slovakia, well, it's always hard to say when it comes to their veto, because right now what we see that basically Hungary and Slovakia, they can diversify its source of supply. Slovakia can import LNG from Poland, and Hungary can import via Croatia. So we see that basically diversification is what they already can do, and what we recently, a few weeks ago, what happened that Hungarian state company signed a new long-term contracts with Shell and Engie. So basically, they've been working that. So if you ask openly my opinion, I think that right now they've been trying to get something in return, and this is a game that Hungary and Slovakia usually like to play. But however, this time the EU Commission, as I mentioned previously, they basically choose another legal procedure than going through the sanction procedure.
And how realistic is this deadline that the EU has set for itself, January 1st, 2028?
Well, first of all, these deadlines are not set in stone. The reason is because the European Parliament now has another opinion that basically they would like to phase out Russian gas more faster. So European Parliament proposed 2027 and the Council proposed 2028. So these dates right now, they're, as I mentioned, not set in stone. There will be another negotiations between the Council, between the Commission and the European Parliament, and we'll see what actually happened. However, I would say that at the moment it concerns me because we don't know what actually and how negotiations will go on in upcoming few months. So I would say that maybe 50-50.
Do you think that there can be any problems that get in the way of these negotiations? Because obviously there has to be some voting in the EU Parliament.
Well, what I know from the European Parliament, that mainly all factions in the European Parliament actually they support Commission's plan, and they probably will vote for phasing out Russian gas faster than Council. So the biggest question is how Council and the European Parliament will agree. We know for sure that mainly all European fractions recently, a few days ago, in the committee, they voted for its plan.
And then moving on to the future, who will actually supply the EU with energy, and to what extent perhaps will the US replace Russia as a supplier?
Well, yes, of course, we have to speak about 2027 and the big boost of LNG in the global market. And of course, the United States and Qatar will be the largest supplier globally. We saw a few months ago that President Trump and Commissioner Ursula von der Leyen, they agreed on potentially importing more LNG from the United States. So yes, so the US will be the largest and is already the largest supplier to the EU, as well with Norway. These are the two, and I think they will remain the largest exporters to the EU. In addition to that, of course, we need to speak about Qatar. We need to speak about some northern African countries and Azerbaijan. So these will be the largest suppliers of LNG for the EU.
Hungarian Foreign Minister Petras Katinas has said that this decision will actually be very damaging to the Hungarian economy. On the other hand, we hear voices that this decision and this plan in general will actually provide Europe with greater energy independence and security. What is your take on these two opinions?
Well, Russia showed already many times, actually more than 50 times since the collapse of USSR, that they use its commodities, and in particular oil and gas, for achieving its foreign policy aims. And actually Hungary and Slovakia, they suffered from that. So in terms of energy security, yes, we can't trust anymore Russia, and moving from Russian fossil fuel, it actually will benefit in the medium and long term. So this is one thing. The second thing, responding to Hungarian foreign minister's statement, actually Hungary, in many cases, not only when we speak about gas import, but we speak about oil import. Since 2022, instead of phasing out Russian fossil fuel, what actually they did, they actually increased. So when Hungarian foreign minister makes this statement, it's actually, I would say, it's more than hypocritical.
Okay, Petras Katinas, energy analyst at the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
And that's all for this edition of World Talks. Thank you so much for being with us, and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.